This is Paul Roberts of Conscious Counseling 101, and I'm just doing this response video for one of the people that I've worked with and talked with, and one of my friends from long ago. And it's about a video that he shared about, can you ever overcome lust? Okay, so here's my point of view on this. The video was good, well thought out, but it was missing context. Now, I have two things that I can offer to this that maybe he can't. Number one, I'm an artist. I'm a visual artist, okay? So everything that I do involves analytic thinking, constant evaluation of the form, and every aspect of it. And this goes into visual and audio type things as well, and mannerisms and behaviors and things like this. You have your classic tales in the Bible of lust, like David looking out onto the terrace across of the beautiful woman and everything like this. From a distance like that, that's a good example, I think. You don't only have the visuals, you have the mannerisms, you have the grace, the poise, the entire embodiment of that creature. So when I talk about the analysis of an artist like this, I think you can see that symbolized in that passage. But this leads me to my second point of the context. When we talk about the law, the commandments, I mean, obviously we have Jesus here, and he's taken the highest commandment now. He gives us a new commandment to do unto others as you would have done unto you in love through my teachings as brothers. Well, we already know that with the temple curtain torn in two and the crucifixion and all the work that Jesus did, that was prophesied that he would come and he'd be the chosen one and he would show us the new covenant. This is the new covenant now that we're living in now. But he said we're not going to have a stroke of the pen taken away or added to the law. So everything that we had originally was for us is still for us, even though we weren't those chosen people. So let's take a look at that. There's where the context lies that this video is missing. Why was the law written the way it was when it was originally written? We have to understand this if we're to ever come to concepts, total grips of what lust is and why it's a bad thing. The law was written because this covenant was made with a righteous man, okay? It was made through Noah, Abraham, and then the law given to Moses. And what it was about was so God could reside with his chosen people and lay out a system for them in this physical realm, whereas if they did what he had prescribed for them and they followed God, he would bless them with longevity, prosperity, everything they could possibly want in this physical realm on this earth. And so the lust thing is talking to where man starts to fall and fail again. Why would you lust for something that you don't have when it's already appointed in the law and your covenant that God's given you everything you could possibly want? The reason why you're lusting in the first place is because you have a sense of a lack of faith or understanding of that and think there must be something more that you don't have. Kind of like the Garden of Eden with the fruit or whatever, the symbolic fruit. And in that essence that you're still tied down to this earth, you believe there's something more than God knew to provide you with. And because you follow and subscribe to that, that's what the lust that goes over the top there, that's what the lust is talking about. My answer to this video is, can you ever stop looking at the form and the grace and the mannerisms and the beauty and the structure of the created thing that's different than you that makes you excited because you're not that? This is why marriage between man and a woman, I think, is very valid in the essence of what God had planned, not because of their sexual organs and the ways like this, because we know in transgender people and people that are born like kind of half and half type of thing, that those things don't necessarily apply uniformly to them. So what do they find that's different and innovative and wow, look at that? That's never going to shut off, and it's never going to be able to be controlled, and it shouldn't. Our wonder for life was talked about in the singing of the songs. We are to have this. We are to make a joyful noise. We are to use all our talents. We are to enjoy. God said everything he made was good. We are to look at the beautiful people and beautiful things and say, well, I know why they're beautiful. the golden rectangle, you've heard all those things. Science is trying to break it down and say, why is it beautiful? Why is somebody beautiful? Why is somebody not ugly? Why? Not that there's such a thing as ugly, but I'm talking about aesthetics, design, proper proportions, an essence that somebody has that's unique, even if it's just beauty is in the eye of the beholder, even if it's just something that you see alone. God gave you these things to motivate you every day, to make you get out of bed, to make you go forward, to make you alive, to make you celebrate life, to make your life that you celebrated, your creation, to be all it can be. So you're never going to get past the appreciation of the wonder and say, wow, I wonder what it'd be like to be with him. Remember, we're not chosen people. We weren't given one life, and this is it. This one wife, and this is it, and this is it. We're supposed to be happy here. You've got everything you possibly have, and God said so you better believe it. We're subscribed on to the original concepts that were given to those, and that they failed at, becoming over litigious and having their stumbling blocks fall, and having some of those curses come to them instead of the blessings that you can read about in the Old Testament to get the context. We're now subscribed onto that people, but we're not that people. Now, just like they could go and see another person's wife and say, wow, she's got qualities that I just admire. Look at us. I live in Hollywood. I have done some directing and producing, but out here they're forced to say, this person you want to watch. This person will make the movie sell because their charisma. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. God said it's good. The creation's good. Our connection with the opposite sex, or whatever qualities we find in people that we don't have, is good. So when does it become bad? How does it become bad? How do you get past ever having lust? You make it so that all those qualities you appreciate and admire don't dominate your life. Because then you wouldn't be subject to a sin of lust. You'd be subject to having another thing in front of you before God. You're never going to be able to switch it off. You shouldn't be able to or have to, because you're a full-fledged, red-blooded creation, and every other society is that same way in their own ways, and they have their propensities to see one another's charms and beauties in the way that they came up through culture. So whatever peculiarities you might have had gives you a narrower focus. Maybe you're somebody that was born slightly not in the norms of the two different sides. Maybe you were somebody that had a propensity to, as you grew up, find an admiration for some that are like you instead of some that are different than you. What happens is, I think, we are not to judge. We are to say, okay, how do we live our life without that consuming us? How do we live our life without that being our focal point? I think lust begins not by appreciation, but by that becoming heightened in our lives. Having that be our focal point, taking away from our focal point of what we were created to be in our service to the Creator that gave us all the good things that we have, to the extent that that takes away from our ability to see those as the valuable things. That's why lust is a sin, because it captivates us and boxes us in and makes us less than all that we're capable of being. And true evil is, I believe, anything that's contrary to God's will and design. He makes us have everything we have and calls it good for a reason. It is. And it's not what goes into a man that makes him unclean, Jesus says. I know he's talking at the time about the foods, things like that, but think about that living parable and how that can mean through the living word all things. It's not what goes into a man that makes him unclean. It's what comes out of a man. So if we try to stop lust on the way in, then we're really lessening ourselves as full creations from our Creator that can see all things and use our propensity to analyze and be visual artists and conceptual people that realize the value of the beauty of creation. If we think that it's going to harm us somehow on the way in, that's the fallacy and the context that this video misses. What we want to look at is the way out. The way out. And that is where you have to ask yourself, are you missing something that the Lord designed for you in His infinite wisdom? If you are, that's where lust is affecting you. Even though these things enter and run through your mind, they don't make you who you are. And your product
is not about that. It's not influenced by those things, but you can still make a joyful noise unto the Lord. That's what we need to be working for. And that's how you can overcome something such as lust or any other thing that consumes you. This is Paul Roberts, Conscious Counseling 101, and that's all for today. Talk to you soon.